In this video, we're going to talk about the maple tree, an icon of the Northern Hemisphere. Okay, let's just dive right in. I mean, whether you see that leaf on a flag or you're pouring that delicious syrup on your breakfast, the maple is just one of those trees everybody knows. But trust me, there's way more to its story than just that. We're going to explore its incredible diversity, its super long history, and the vital role it plays in the world around us. So here's what we've got lined up. First, we'll get to know the tree itself. Then, we'll follow it through the seasons to see how it changes. After that, we'll look at its place in the bigger ecosystem, how we humans fit into its story, and we'll wrap it all up with some seriously surprising facts. So, to start, what actually makes a maple, well, a maple? Let's get into the basics of what this tree is all about. Okay, so technically, maples belong to the Acer family. And get this, there are over 130 different species. But if you want to spot one out in the wild, you really only need to look for three classic signs. Its leaves grow in opposite pairs on the stem. They have that famous hand-like palmate shape. And of course, they have those winged seeds. And when it comes to size, the range is, honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing. On one hand, you can grow a maple as a tiny bonsai tree, small enough to fit on your desk. But on the other hand, some species out in the wild can tower up to 45 meters tall. I mean, just think about that spectrum, from a few centimeters to a forest giant. Now, when you picture a maple, you probably think of North America, right? But the real hotspot for maple diversity is actually East Asia, especially China. They're all over Europe and North America too, but what's really fascinating is that only one single species has ever naturally made its way across the equator into the southern hemisphere. Okay, so now that we know what a maple is, let's follow one through its amazing yearly journey. And this cycle is about so much more than just those pretty leaves in the fall. It all kicks off in late winter with these tiny little flowers, which are a super important first meal for bees waking up from hibernation. By spring, you see those famous helicopter seeds spinning their way to the ground. Summer is the powerhouse season. That's when the green canopy is working hard, making energy from sunlight. And then comes autumn, the big show, when the tree puts on that incredible display of color. And get this, a maple can go through this whole cycle for an incredibly long time. In the right environment, a single tree can live for over 300 years, becoming a true veteran of the forest. Now, a tree that lives that long doesn't live in a bubble. It's really the center of its own little world, a hub for a whole community of friends, and, well, some foes too. So on the friendly side, maples are absolute heroes to honeybees, giving them that essential first batch of pollen in the spring. Other insects are also crucial for pollination, and all kinds of caterpillars rely on maple leaves for food, which, just keeps that whole circle of life going. But yeah, it's not all friendly. The maple has some serious enemies. The invasive Asian longhorn beetle is a huge threat, especially in North America. There are also a bunch of fungal diseases that can cause problems, and of course you have aphids which feed on the sap and can really weaken the tree over time. This important role in the ecosystem naturally spills over into our world too. Humans and maples have a long, deep history. We've woven this tree right into our culture, our food, and even our own backyards. I mean, you can't deny its cultural power. Way back in 1834, it was being called the king of our forest and a symbol of the Canadian people. That connection was made permanent in 1965, when that famous maple leaf became the heart of Canada's national flag, a symbol of strength that's now recognized all over the globe. And a lot of us love to bring them right into our own yards. If you're thinking of growing one, here are the key things to remember. They don't love scorching sun. They prefer partial shade. They need soil that's consistently moist, but they hate having wet feet. And this is a big one. They need a real winter dormancy period to rest and get ready for the next year. And of course, we can't talk about humans and maples without talking about syrup. The whole process is incredible. A tree has to be at least 30 years old before you can even tap it. Then, you take all this watery sap and boil it for hours. And listen to this ratio. It takes a whopping 40 to 50 liters of sap just to make a single liter of syrup. That's just wild. Alright, for our last section, let's do some rapid-fire facts that show there's even more to the maple than meets the eye. First up, let's talk about age, and I mean real age. Maples are ancient. We have fossil records that show the genus is at least 100 million years old. Yeah, that means they were literally providing shade for dinosaurs. Here's one you might not know. Maple is absolutely essential for making most Tennessee whiskey. They use charcoal made from its wood to filter the spirit, which is what gives it that signature smooth character. Its wood also has this really special property. It's what's called a tone wood, which means it carries sound waves beautifully. This makes it a top choice for crafting instruments, everything from violins and cellos to the necks of electric guitars. And if you thought syrup was the only edible part, think again. Turns out the young leaves, the seeds, yep, the little helicopters, and even parts of the inner bark can all be prepared and eaten. And finally, that little helicopter seed we all played with as kids, it actually inspired military technology. Its spinning, slow descent was the model for a supply carrier they used in World War II to safely airdrop materials to troops. How cool is that? So when you step back and look at it all, this is a tree that has survived for 100 million years. It outlasted the dinosaurs, it made it through ice ages, and it helped shape human cultures. So the big question for today is, after all that history of resilience, how is it going to adapt to our modern world, which is changing faster than ever? Alright, that is it for this video, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.